There is no person who will magically come into your life and makes everything easier and everything will click, because that's also coming from you if you are mature enough to be able to appreciate a person like that.
I think a lot of people put themselves in lives they are actually not happy in, as you say, and they don't want to admit it.
And I was like, I don't think that's how it is. Because if you were not there, then you couldn't have done anything else differently.
We put ourselves into toxic situations for a reason. And it's not on purpose, it just happens because we get stuck with those people who really reflect the wounds that we need to heal.
Unfair for the person they are with, that they are fantasizing about a past or a future person and they are not there with them in the present, just because it's not always a fairy tale and pink cakes and unicorns.
I was also very obsessed with finding a partner, and I didn't even realize, and it brought me to really unhealthy relationships.
My comment was basically, what does it mean, the one? Hello, welcome to our 13th episode of You Are Where You Need to Be. And the episode is about beliefs we once held as truths about love, success, identity, and self-worth, and how experience reshaped them since then. We want to focus on personal growth, emotional patterns, and those wait, what was I thinking moments, because I think everybody can relate to that. As we are growing older and we experience more and more and we look back on our past, not just our behaviors, but about decisions and everything else included, we have those moments. What do you think about it?
Yes, I think this is a great topic because this can literally describe the meaning of our podcast, You Are Where You Need to Be. And for a long time in my life, I didn't even know that I was where I needed to be. And I kept hoping and expecting certain outcomes that I would like to have in my life to happen. For example, I grew up on Disney films and Hollywood movies, so I was expecting to have the big love, arriving in my life. And then I was looking for it every single corner. Everyone was talking about how handsome the guys are in the football team or in the movie that we just watched or anything. And you just find yourself like swept into that current, because to be fair, for a while I didn't feel that much. I think in my high school years I didn't really feel that pressure about that, but I was still somewhere curious about guys, but not as obsessed as other girls, and I just couldn't understand it. But then eventually, not in the exact same way as they did, but I was also very obsessed with finding a partner, and I didn't even realize. And it brought me to really unhealthy relationships because I didn't have the healthy understanding how I am as a person and what is it that I should be expecting from a healthy relationship, from another person in a relationship. What is it that I should be expecting from workplaces, from life itself? What kind of lessons I'm going to have? In my mind, I remember when I don't recall how old I was, but I had a plan. 20 years old, I'm going to get married and I'm going to have a baby. And where did that come from? Surely it was not my little girl's mind. It came from somewhere external ideas of other people through media and family and so on. Relatives who kept asking me when I was in kindergarten if I have a boyfriend already and so on. And when I got 20, and I'm like, if someone would ask me when I'm getting married, I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm just a baby. I did not feel like I'm ready, but I still kind of wanted to have a partner and a job. And I still had that mentality that I would like to have like family. And eventually once I got swooped into a relationship that was really unhealthy for me, thankfully, I got rid of that mentality. Because why I'm saying thankfully, because it wouldn't have been good for that new little soul creature, neither for me, neither for my then partner. I do not regret anything that has been happening to me in the past, whatever years
ago. Yeah.
And I hear other people saying that I regret going out with this person. I regret not accepting that job or regret this and that. And I luckily never had that feeling. When someone asked me, because I was together with that person for 9 years, could have ended sooner, but there was a reason for that, why it took that much time. And I was reflecting back on how much I have learned from it, how much I have grown since the day we started seeing each other. And oh boy, how much more I had to learn until now from that day that we broke up. Like, I just couldn't regret any of that. And my mentality, my attitude, my expressions, my everything has changed 360 degrees entirely. Completely different person I am. And
you mean 180 degrees?
What I wanted to say is that, like, I am still me, but I went through so much. So I have changed entirely, and I am now a completely different person. And I couldn't be more grateful for whatever I have been going through these past years. What is your experience with that?
I will tell you, but what I wanted to say about this is a really interesting thing, because you say you are not the person anymore you were. And it's just strange to think how other people remember us from the times they knew us, and who are we right now, and how different we are at this moment, and how much those people don't know us anymore. It's just a reflection from my side, thinking about past friendship relationships or anything. Any people I cross paths with, because they only knew those versions of us which existed at that moment or at that time period. And they have their opinions about us based on that time.
Yeah, but also just want to quickly add this, and then I will let you share, that also people will never, ever really truly know you for who you are, because they just don't live through those experiences or lived through those experiences, and they don't live in your body, and they have a certain picture about you. It also depends on their maturity, their emotional intelligence and capability to absorb you. So they will see you at the level of where they are, actually. And it used to hurt me, like, how can you say that about me? Like, I'm not like that, but and then I had to accept that people will never really see me for who I am. Only I will see myself for who I am.
Yeah, that's 100%. And also, they only can see you from their perspective, plus what we show them. Because many times we don't really show them too much so they can have a true idea of who we are, because people are playing roles and people are searching for their identities, and they don't really know who they are. So, of course, if you don't know who you are, then how other people could know?
Yeah, I think at that moment, depending on how much you can also express yourself, which I used to be very bad at, I was lacking the tools. But I think even then, some people could still see you somewhere closer than others. Even if you show them the same things, the two people will not see you the same way.
Yeah. That's so true and so interesting, by the way. That's why if you put 10 people from your past in the same room, they will all have different kind of experiences to share. Of course, there are some core values and I think things which everybody can recognize in you, but it also matters how they interpret it or how that relationship ended and how they explain that to themselves. Because our memories can trick us. It's a really nice topic to talk about because it also connects to how we remember things, because our brains are not so reliable in memories how we think it is, because we only remember our side of the story or how we seen it at that time. Maybe if we go back in time and we see something with the lens of today, of how we think today, we would completely see something else.
Definitely, I think.
Yeah, that's also nice because, for example, if you share memories with other people, like, I don't know, you went abroad together or you spend a lot of time together, then I don't know if you notice, but each person shares and remembers something else from the exact same moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And that makes it also beautiful, but tricky at the same time, because we just cannot really rely on our memories, unfortunately, that much as we would like to. But as for me, well, if I remember back even, let's go back 10 years, I wasn't even living where I live right now, and I would have never thought that I will once live abroad, so far away from my family and everything I know. I was just living my everyday life. I tried to build a career. I was in a stable relationship, which at that time I thought is going to be there forever. And then life came and everything changed. What I know, I always had this idea that I want to try abroad. I was really interested how it is in another country. And I remember that I tried to apply as an au pair, even though I'm not really connected to kids. I mean, it's not like I don't like them or anything. It's just nobody in my close circle had kids, so I didn't really have the experience. That changed also ever since, but at that time, no. And for some reason, I still thought that it's a good idea, because that will give me the possibility to go abroad and experience how it is. I think I wanted to go to Finland or something. And at the end, that never happened. The relationship, what I thought was stable, ended. And now I'm here abroad, living a completely different life from what I live when I was at home. And I had completely different ideas of how my life would look like. I think I thought the same thing what you mentioned, even though I never wanted kids, to be honest. I think I mentioned that before, but I thought that that's just the natural order of things. Maybe when I'm past 30, then I'm going to start a family, and that's in the distant future, so I wasn't really thinking about it. I wasn't really thinking through how it would be, but yeah, I have time for that, so it's okay. And ever since I realized that I don't want that, I don't want kids, and I'm fine that it never happened, because I see so many people who got kids and got married with the wrong people, and it ended up pretty badly, and they had it really rough with all the divorce and the co-parenting and everything. And I don't have regrets missing that out. I also thought I'm gonna get married, even though I didn't really want to get married, because I'm a kid of divorced parents, and for a long period of time I seen marriage as just a piece of paper. Of course, now I think about it differently, but still it was my mindset for a pretty long time. So I wasn't really part of that circle who pushed their boyfriends to propose or was indicating for something like that. So it never happened. And that's also fine. Which is strange, because I heard from so many people that, yeah, you're gonna have regrets about this, about that, so you better do this, you better do that, because I don't think regret should work like that. I mean, I think you can come in peace with the decisions you made and how your life ended out to be without regrets.
Yeah.
I think you only have regrets if you are not building a satisfactory life for yourself.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's nicely put, because I think a lot of people put themselves in lives they are actually not happy in, as you say, and they don't want to admit it. But then they keep hearing this from all over the place, from other people. Oh, I regret this and that. And so they normalize that it's somewhere okay that, yeah, I admit that I don't like it, but they wouldn't change it. So they don't, people don't know how to appreciate things in life, where they are, what they have, even if what they have gone through. Even in my family, some people had really harsh life, very difficult life, and they talk about missed opportunities as if that was the cause of their misery and everything, and that was just how life went for them. And they have all this regret that they didn't say this and that to other people, and it's people feel regret because somewhere they did not set boundaries for themselves. They didn't stand up for themselves. They didn't meet their own needs, and they don't feel satisfied. They don't feel happy. And especially when they do this for a long term, it will keep accumulating in themselves, and they just cannot focus on what is it that it's good in their life. And even the good and bad, those are just labels us humans made up because we had to make some kind of sense of certain feelings. And now, because we don't know how to be in the uncomfortable feelings and situations, we don't know how to solve them in a healthy way. We don't know how to move on from them in a healthy way and be okay with it genuinely. People don't want to be in it. So they like, this is bad. I don't want it. I want to get rid of it. But very often a situation gives you those feelings because we need to go through something, like I have many times, literally, that in relationships I would repeat the same pain, same kind of situations, and it just got worse and worse every single time because I haven't learned my lesson yet, how to accept myself, how to love myself, how to be okay with myself and know that wherever I am is good. I thought that I was happy with that. In certain areas and aspects of my life, I was okay with it. I accepted it, that I didn't regret decisions. But other parts, for example, I'm whatever years old and I'm still not where other people are. And I tried not to compare myself to other people. But somehow it still comes up, especially when you go out dating and somehow you put all these restrictions on yourself that you are not there yet to be liked by someone because you don't feel like you're adult enough and so on. So yeah, I think those uncomfortable feelings and experiences are there in life for us to open our minds and our heart towards ourselves, to accept ourselves. But if people keep rejecting it and running away from it, then they're never gonna appreciate their lives.
Yes, you are so right in what you're saying, because it all goes back to the same thing. Life is actually pretty unpredictable. I mean, we can have plans, we can have ideas. It will either happen or not. It will either turn out that way or not. But the main goal is that you really should appreciate wherever you are. I know it seems like now I'm talking from an easy place, but it wasn't easy for me to get here either. So I know how it is when you're struggling, but with struggling, the thing is that you have to go through it. And it's actually a never-ending story. Like life is really like a roller coaster. Once you are up, once you are down. And what you have to learn is to accept whatever happens and to try to feel the feelings, what you are going through, first of all. That's very important. And then to get your conclusions and to, level up, so to say, in mindset and even in lifestyle, however it goes. But regrets are all coming from the lack of this, because you think you honestly miss something. For example, there was a topic in one of the close groups I'm a member of, and somebody asked, how did you know you met the one? And then I've seen the comments and I was smiling because there were so many people commenting and I seen so many perspectives. But there was one where somebody said that someone else from the past, that person was the one. They were just not mature enough at the time. And I was like, I don't think that's how it is. Because if you were not there, then you couldn't have done anything else differently. So my comment was basically, what does it mean, the one? Because everybody can be the one at that lifetime, at that present moment where you are. It only depends on you and the other person and what you guys want, how you communicate, and if you want to stick together or not. And that's it. There is no person who will magically come into your life and makes everything easier and everything will click, because that's also coming from you. If you are mature enough, for example, to be able to appreciate a person like that, you have to mature for that, and you're not going to have that when you are younger. Okay, some people have it, but most of them no. So then, even if the person was great for you, they're still not the one. You cannot mourn something like it is permanent and that was it for you. Yeah, and you have to bury it deep down because you will never have it again. Like, how can you think like that?
It's because people have so many limiting self-beliefs that they are not aware of. And they grow up, they live their lives, keep telling these lies to themselves that they don't deserve this kind of relationship. They can't have that relationship. So they long for some superficial, idealized picture that is so unreachable, so that it never gets to the point where they could actually face themselves, that they should work on something in order to receive that. Like, I know people always say that someone will love you the way you are. Working on something, I mean, is not getting a house, getting a job. Job is always a useful thing to have. That's not my point. It's not like financial parts or body muscle or things like that. It's being able to receive that relationship when it's in front of your nose. Being able to interact with it and hold it and maintain it and grow it together. Because by dreaming about something else in life and never actually taking actionable steps towards it is easy. You know, it's people can say that and then they can put themselves in a victim mode that, oh, it wasn't meant to be for me, or the person, I wasn't ready, but it was the one still. But then maybe they are also like seeing someone right now. Then what about that person? Like, then why are you with that person? Then what kind of distance are you creating between you and that person? And why are you idolizing something that is so out of reach? And why, like, that's the kind of work that I'm talking about. And this is a very hard one because people do this to somewhere protect themselves from true hurt. Because if they're not close enough with someone, then they will not get hurt. But they still kind of get, they just never really process it.
Yeah. And it's true what you say, that it's so unfair for the person they are with. They are fantasizing about a past or a future person and they are not there with them in the present, just because it's not always a fairy tale and pink cakes and unicorns, but it's the reality, and people escape into their fantasies and their memory. which is, as
Yeah.
we already discussed, is not going to actually give you the truth. And I read it somewhere, and I see so many reels about it too, that men are marrying the woman who is right in front of them at that moment when they are ready to get married. And after that, they are just fantasizing about their ex before or somebody who doesn't even exist. And I think there is a truth in that. I'm sure there are people who do that. It's mostly, I think, avoidant people, because avoidants are always fantasizing about something which is not there and present and holding their hands. And somebody who they don't need to create an intimacy with is always looking more desirable because it's not there. So they can actually just create a story in their head how it would be. And it's easier than to face reality and everyday life. But I don't want to believe that it's always the case with everybody. I think it's just the immaturity so many people drag into their adult lives because they don't face their emotions and nobody is teaching them how to process emotions and how to process their feelings, when they are right, when they are wrong. I understand that it's difficult also for parents if they don't even know this themselves or they never been taught and never looked it up. So people are going to adulthood with the mindset of an adolescent. And that's why we have so many situations like this.
Yeah, and definitely we're not saying that it's every single case is like that. We are mainly talking about our own experiences and because unfortunately there are a lot of unhealthy relationships out there, but I'm sure that there are healthy and secure relationships as well, where they really like someone went through their own learning journey, like you and I are doing it, and then they finally were ready to receive a healthy partner. But those are the ones that those posts that mention that, and then this person reached out to their ex-partner, and then they said, "Oh, you were the one who got away." That's not. In my opinion, that is not a healthy place to be. It's just that person for some reason arrived to a place where they felt the pressure either by society, family, or themselves because they are growing older to show up something, that they achieved something. So they met someone who didn't trigger them as much as their own ex, like their past ex. So they could say that, okay, I can be with this person, but it still hasn't, when this person still didn't go through that kind of self-reflection and growth where they appreciate that current person and they appreciate that, yes, I had this past and I have learned so much from it and it's gone, and that person was not my one because that's why she or he is in my past. This was a huge lesson for me as well. And I kept telling myself when my past situation left me, and people have these limiting self-beliefs, and I also had it. For example, I don't deserve someone like that person, which is funny somewhere because good. the way things went, okay, it's perfect that I do not deserve a person like that.
In a positive way.
But back then that's not how I felt because I was triggered, I was in mourning, I was in grief, and I didn't see yet where I am and who I am and what is my true value actually. And the person who leaves you or the person who treats you certain ways that is not healthy for you, that is not thriving you, that is not loving towards you, is not your person. Same as for job, living other situations, but it doesn't mean that you are in the wrong place. Unfortunately, we put ourselves into toxic situations for a reason. And it's not on purpose, it just happens because we get stuck with those people who reflect the wounds that we need to heal. And if it takes 9 years, it will take 9 years. If it takes 10 years, it will take 10 years. And we have to go through that and learn from that. And also job situations or moving to a different country and not liking the weather or the people there or something. Everything that we feel is a negative experience, is a projection of our own wounds that we are not wanting to face. And we are blaming everything else.
Yes.
And then having the regrets of, oh, why did I move here? Or why did I go to that job? Why did I not find another job yet? And I am so, even just today, I was thinking about that. There are so many things at my workplace that can drive me nuts. But on overall, I am very appreciative towards the opportunity to have a relatively okay, stable place. And because of that I didn't have to constantly look for a job. On the side, I had the opportunity to focus on myself in whatever way I needed to. For example, whatever I went through relationships. If I had to go through the breakups the same way, in the same time having to find a job because I'm like running away from this job because it feels uncomfortable. And those uncomfortable things as well are something that I need to heal within myself. And it doesn't excuse us to stay in toxic places and situations just because it's something that I need to heal in myself. So it's just a mirror showing us. And then eventually, once you know you healed it, you need to move on from that situation. Let that be a workplace or a relationship or anything else in your life.
Yeah, completely true. Also about this workplace dilemma, a lot of people are having. I think we mentioned it briefly, that so many people have the situation that they are working in an environment they don't like anymore because they don't feel appreciated. This is also connected to the podcast episode where we discussed about capitalism and how corporate world works and so on. But as you said, maybe when nothing happens in your career or it's not really striving, maybe something happens in your personal life and you can put more focus in there and just try to level up there and just experience how it is and try to grow in that area of your life at that moment. But you also have to see that, because many times we don't really observe what's happening with us. We are just going with the flow. We are going on the road and not really looking around or not thinking about what's really happening with us at that moment. We don't see all those little details. But at the end, I'm sure if anyone looks back at that period of their lives when they felt that they are not striving at their job, something else happened with them, which they could have appreciated. It can be anything small, really. It doesn't have to be a huge thing like a self-development, just something small. And I'm sure everybody has an example.
But that's the thing is, I think we are way too hyper focused on areas in our lives. Like, this is what I also had in my mind, and it has changed so much over the years, especially in the past 3 years, is that I had expectations, unrealistic expectations that what I grew up with. What is it that I'm going to want to have in my life? And that's what people are chasing. And if that thing is not happening, they are unable to see anything else in their lives. And everything is happening in your life. It's not like, oh, it's just job happening or it's just personal life happening. I have learned so many human skills at my workplace, and I didn't really learn what I expected I will be learning. And when I realized this, that it's like, wow, I mean, I wish that I would learn those, work skills. But I actually gained something much more valuable, I think, because this is what was missing from my life more than those work skills. And who knows where that will take me in the future. And in the same time, I also had the chance to work on other aspects of my life in personal matters and healing and growing and so on. And it's happening all the time, overlapping each other. And we are just having these categories and like boxes with themes in our heads. This is what I need to tick. And if it doesn't get ticked, that's what we are stressing about, and we are unhappy, and we don't notice that we actually live independently. We manage to go out and have fun. We manage to sometimes go on holiday or meet friends. And the part is where we are unable to appreciate anything because we are chasing things all the time.
Yeah. And it can really ruin our present. I'm saying present because it came to my mind. I think a couple of days ago, I was thinking of some events from my past where I was abroad on a trip or at a nice place with my family. And at that time, I always had a heartbreak, so to say, because I managed to have one all the time. I think I always needed to suffer from somebody because I was growing up partly in a very unhealthy environment. And I took that chaos to my adulthood. And when I felt really content and nothing stressed me out, I always had to find something that stressed me out. But yeah, you know how it is. But when I'm thinking now back about those trips when I was there, but mentally I was somewhere else, somehow I still remember the trip. And even if I thought I didn't pay attention to how it was, my surrounding, my encounters, my conversations with people at that time, because inside something was going on. Now I remember it. And I don't recall that pain, what I felt at that time anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe we can reach back to past events, and now with our current awareness and appreciation, we can still remember what happened and let go of the pain and just appreciate whatever was there. I know what you mean. I can recall events like that too from my past.
Right? It's interesting. I wasn't really thinking about it only a few days ago. It started to come up in my mind, and I was like, wow, really? Okay, that's nice. So basically, if you reach a moment or state in your life when you feel I wouldn't say happy, because happiness, I think, is not an emotion which you can keep up like constantly. This is something really strong, but it's coming and going. What you can keep is satisfaction, I think, with your life and where you are, and acceptance. And if you have satisfaction and acceptance, then you can even go back in past memories and see them completely differently and from a different angle. And you don't feel those emotions anymore. I think it also can be that you heal some of your triggers, because I had a lot of pretty intense triggers. And okay, I can get into situations where I will still feel them. But actually, I really want to see how I would react right now. I want to test it. Because in theory, okay, you feel things, you know things, and you can think that you would handle certain things differently. And I already handled things differently. But there are some parts in my life which still, if I'm a bit more exhausted or if I'm not feeling so well, it can still overwhelm me a little bit more than I would like to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the part where we had to learn certain human skills with an adult head, and it still overwhelms us because it doesn't come as second nature, because it takes time to practice, then implement it and master it. In a way, let's call it master it, but it doesn't have to be perfect. I did wonder so many times, what if I came from a much more secure and healthier and aware background, and this would not be an effort for me. For example, setting boundaries or saying no to people or phrasing things in a way that is just normal and healthy, and I'm not attacking back other people because that's the only language I know. And then this is when maybe for some people, or no, I think sometimes I would have a tiny bit of regret and I would immediately switch in my mind. No, I don't regret. But it's still somewhere, it's the feeling, it comes, what if? I think everyone has that. But you can consciously get there when you tell to your body, to your mind that no, you appreciate where you are coming from, whatever it was, because it has contributed for you to become who you are, even if it was painful. Like, what is the point of regretting your life?
Yeah, it's
then
the
why
same.
why are we here?
Yeah, it's the same like obsessing over your past. For
Yeah.
what? What can you
Yeah.
gain from there?
Exactly.
It's shaping you, your past, and you choose it for that to go forward, not to all the time look back. And so many people do that. If I remember back in the day, because I had this thing which we also discussed, that we were both people pleasers, and how did we operate with those people pleasing, that we always try to show people that we are good enough, and we just did really a lot for them. We were always there. We were always available. We were the first ones to go and help if they needed it. But outgrowing that, it was so much more difficult. It's still sometimes hard to act against that nature, because it's so badly and like rooted inside you, that it's harder to say no than it was back in the day to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Even though saying yes led to more serious consequences and burnouts and mental problems. But still, today, saying no when you know what's best for you, it's not an easy thing.
Whatever is best for you is going to be always much harder.
Yeah.
And people tend to choose the easier way. This is how I think humans function, mainly, like generally, to try and get out of situations the cheapest way possible. I think that's probably through evolution as well. So we are not wasting energy or precious people or anything on it. I don't really know what's the true reason behind it, but that's what I could imagine. Because, like, if they are alive and they're able to produce next generations, and that's fine. Like, what else do they want? That was the goal of the whole population. So yeah, and that's easy. If I find easily food, that's done. I'm not gonna go much further, to climb some mountains to fight with wild animals, in risking my life and my team members' life to get a potentially better place and food sources and so on, unless I'm starving right now here. So this is how I think humans work.
Yeah. But the thing is that usually these kind of decisions will cost so much more on the long run. And those can lead to regrets, actually. If you never step on the hard path.
Yeah.
Because something can look easy at that moment from that angle, but it doesn't mean it's going to be the right decision if you're looking into the future.
Do you mean when people feel comfortable and they just stay where they are? Yeah, that's definitely not. Like, change brings change. That if you stay put, you're never going to experience, you're never going to go through experiences, you're never going to be able to reflect to different situations and compare them. and see where you come from, where you are right now. So if people stay and they never risk, they never try, of course, eventually they may feel left out. They may feel they have chosen the wrong path. But to be fair, even if they did that, this is what they were supposed to do for some reason. If eventually they figure it out at the age of 60 or 70, because at the personal development school, I would meet more mature aged people who would be just waking up now. And I was so happy to see that, because yes, okay, you have lived your life in a certain way, but now you are here. So but that person needed that time period to be able to make change in their life. So that was their path. Everyone has their own path
And their timeline.
and you cannot walk in the same
Faster than you're supposed to be.
either, or you cannot walk parallel roads.
Yes.
You are on that road and that's it.
Yeah.
And appreciate the view where you are, and don't fixate on a future view, because you keep walking and you may never, get to that exact location and place and feelings and smells and so on, whatever you were imagining. From what? Maybe from other people's ideas, from other people's influences, and it wasn't even you. So people fail to actually discover themselves, know themselves, and know what they want. Like me, when I was like a little child and I thought that at 20 I would be married. Where did that come from? It was not my own precious idea at all.
Yeah. It's completely true. But that's why it's so important to be alone, because otherwise you will never know who you are, what you like, what you dislike.
Yeah.
And
especially women.
Yeah, I think I would love to hear the perspective of Ben about this too, because we can see from the perspective of women. We know what women been going through, what they are going through, what kind of changes are happening, and men cannot identify with that. They can maybe understand it, but they cannot really feel it, how it is like to be there. So I really want to know what's their opinion about this. Because to be honest, when you are growing apart from something you knew, like a family, like a circle, you start feeling like you lose a part of your identity. Like, okay, who am I without them? What do I want? And for a while, you have nothing to hold on to. You just have that empty space which is screaming at you that you have to fill it in with something else, with something new. And for a while, you don't really know. You have to experiment. And it can take a lot of time, a long time. And that's when it comes back that everybody's timeline is different.
Yeah. And what you're saying is so interesting, because it's not definitely just with friends or family, but also relationships, romantic relationships. It very often happens that people fail to actually develop a sense of self since their childhood, because for whatever reason they were not allowed to do that. And what you're saying, they're trying to fill these holes. And then this is how people often have children, because they feel something is missing. They don't know what it is. So they're gonna go for this option because they hope to feel loved and fulfilled through a child and a marriage and so on, whatever they heard from previously, from influences. And then if that doesn't happen, or they break up from a relationship, or the child, when they grow up, they realize that they actually didn't have a healthy relationship with their family and they break ways from the family, then the remaining parts of the family, those people who did never really build a sense of self, of themselves, without those people, they don't know who they are. They just what is the point of life? And they don't have a self-identity, hobbies, friends, nothing. They are completely dependent on their surrounding people. For healthier, less codependent relationships, everyone should know who they are, what their priorities are, what their boundaries are, their needs, everything. And we could communicate those and not literally depend on each other's happiness in that sense, because that's what I'm noticing, that also very often people, they live through other people's lives in that sense, that they can't feel happy unless that other someone seems happy.
Yeah.
Because they just never established a life for themselves that functions independently. And it's very sad because society has not really been allowing women to be dependent and have that opportunity to make that happen. So this may seem like I'm trying to bash women who are like that, or even men. Let's not just focus on women. But it has a history, and it just happened to those people, and they don't do that on purpose. But it would be so, I think, wonderful if everyone could have the chance, to experience how is it to be alone, because it sounds so scary. I can tell that people who would be listening now, they would be like, but I don't want to be alone. But it is actually very, very, very
a nurturing experience.
That's a very, very good way to put it.
Yeah, that's what came to my mind as a first thing, because that's what I feel.
It's like a seed.
Yeah, it's not always
alone in the ground. Yeah,
it's not always how it was, but when you really get into it and you have your habits, you understand what you like, what you don't like, you have your own environment you can shape. Those are really important things.
Yeah. So this is also one thing I did not expect many, many years ago, that I will be okay on my own. I will feel content, and that not trying to find a partner will be like, it will no longer be a full-time job for me in that sense.
Yeah.
Because there are other more important things in life, and I'm okay. I'm alive. I'm happy. I meet friends. I do my life, and I do not regret anything that happened to me. It has contributed me to arrive to the place where I'm right now, and I feel much more confident about myself, because when you are so much more reliant on other people to meet your needs and feel happy, to want to be in a relationship, or even to have a job, if that is not there, or it's in risk, or it's there but you don't believe that you deserve it, you will always feel uneasy, stressed, anxious about it, because you never know when it might disappear. You don't know how to be without it. You don't feel, it's like a person who relies all the time on a crutch. I don't know how to pronounce it. When you break your leg, and they actually no longer need it, but they don't want to acknowledge it. And then eventually that crutch breaks, and they will be panicking that, oh my God, I can't walk. I can't be on my own.
I heard this so many times from people that, yeah, but that's scary, and I don't know. I'm not capable of that. Everybody's capable.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
You just have to wrap your mind around it. And that's all. If you're capable of going on thousands of dates and looking desperately for your next partner because you just don't know what to do with yourself, then for sure you are also capable to do the exact opposite.
Mm.
You decide. You're the master of your own life. So I don't like when people say that I cannot do this and I cannot do that.
Yeah, but why don't you like it? Did you ever feel like that in your life?
I'm sure that I also said things like, because I'm talking about decisions when I'm saying that there is no way that somebody cannot know, because you make your own decisions. And now I cannot recall a certain thing, but for sure I had this when I was thinking that I'm not capable of certain things. Okay, let's say, for example, I'm still having in my mind that I wouldn't be capable of going on a stage and talking in front of 100 people because I'm such an introverted person, and it would be scary for me. And what if life throw that at me and I would have to do that? I wouldn't say that I'm not going to do it just because I would feel a huge anxiety about it. For example, I had to do a presentation not so long ago, and a lot of overheads were there and a lot of people. I think around 20-25 people. And I had to step out and I had to do that presentation in front of them about the training, what were my takeaways, and what did I feel about it, what did I learn, and who am I? I hate to talk about who am I, what I do, but there was like no choice. I mean, I had to do it. And I was really nervous. I mean, I felt this kind of ick in my mouth that it was, it was
Itching.
and I was like,
Twitching.
yeah. And I hope that nobody sees it because. And at the end, people said that, wow, this was so professional. Really didn't think that you were nervous. It felt like that you have been doing this before. And I was like, well, you don't know what I felt inside. But yeah, I did it. So it's just conquering your fears, basically.
Yeah. Well, first of all, well done for doing that. Especially
Thanks.
that they couldn't even tell. Like, I kind of know what you mean. I never really had situations where I really had to like talk in front of a lot of people. I did perform, let's call it performing in front of people, and I would get really nervous, like to the point where I'm shaking. Like as a kid, I would play piano, and I remember when they would just put me in front of everyone and I had to do it and I had no choice. And I was so nervous that I couldn't hit the keys. And other times I played it with no thought about it. I think over time I started to develop an anxiety because I remember as a kid I didn't care about these things. And I remember once I made a mistake when I was playing the piece. And I think either my mom or my teacher mentioned that, oh, you did this so cleverly, you didn't care, you just carried on. And then from that moment I hyperfixated that I made a mistake, and I every single time next time I made a mistake I stopped. I did because is that like then okay, I'm way too conscious about it. So that the way that people are unable to teach kids to be okay to make mistakes, to be okay to nervous or things like that, and how to carry on or how to just maybe not even notice it, And I think over time it just accumulated more and more, and I also got more introverted in that sense. I just didn't want to talk to face to other people. Even as an adult, just recently, it would be very difficult. I think on dates I would be fine, and I would start to like eventually go out to meetups just to push this matter that I'm talking to people. But at my workplace, it took me 3 years to finally be able to talk in a normal flow with people and also look into their face. And I still don't really know. I think I know. It's because I have gone through this recent change. And I finally feel comfortable with myself with who I am. And I don't feel ashamed anymore if I make a mistake or if I speak funnily or something, because I have this weird thing that if I'm with uncomfortable people that I feel uncomfortable with, because you are way too conscious about how they might perceive you, is what we also talked in the beginning of this video. And It's just you get more stressed about it and everything comes out very weird and clumsy and not the way you want to.
Yeah.
And it just adds more onto that. And most of it, that one is gone. For example, I can't imagine that it would be an issue for me to talk in front of people. And even if I would make mistake, I don't care. Like, we are human beings. It happens and especially since I know so much diversity, like people with ADHD, autism, dyslexia, auditory issues, and so on. Like, it explains so much that you are not faulty. We are not faulty. We are just human beings. Everyone is a mixture of something, and you just have to accept that and don't regret it, and just hug it and love it and keep looking for challenges in your life.
Yes.
And don't regret anything.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with that. I think these are really nice closing words as well, unless you would like to add something else.
No, I think that was it.
Yeah. So we would really like to hear about your stories, your opinions, your experiences in this matter. So please share and comment and subscribe.
Thank you.
Thank
and see you
you.
next time.
See you next
Bye.
time. Bye.
Bye.